Thank you so much, and a big welcome to all of you on this beautiful Saturday. You are joining us for our very first live virtual Bobcat Day for the year 2020. We are so thrilled that you could join us. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am the e-recruiter at the University of California, Merced, and I will also be working today as your moderator behind the scenes and assisting with question and answer session at the end of this presentation. Today, what we will be presenting on during this hour is the School of Natural Sciences, and we have a great panel of experts that will be speaking to you momentarily. Right now, I'd like to share with you a couple of quick tips so that you can run through our webinar and participate with us today. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do that in the lower left corner of your screen. You'll just click on that option and make adjustments as you see fit. If you would like to change the size of your screen, in the upper portion of your screen, you will see View Options. You can click on that button and make adjustments as you see fit. You can have it large screen for the full size, or you can do something smaller if you prefer. And also, most importantly, we hope that you send us your questions, and you can do that by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom portion of the screen. You will get a box that will pop up where you can enter your question and click submit, and we will do our best to get those answered throughout the presentation through that Q&A chat feature. We also will be having a live question and answer session at the end of the presentation, so please stick around to have your questions answered live. At this time, I would like to hand this off for introductions, and the first person to do that will be my colleague, Angie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to UC Merced. My name is Angie Salinas. I am the Assistant Dean of Student Support for the School of Natural Sciences. I'm really excited to hopefully talk to some of you. Welcome. I'm going to hand it over to Jose Martinez, please.
Hi, everyone. Jose Martinez, and I currently serve as an academic advisor in the School of Natural Sciences for students in the biology major with last names H through O. And I also oversee the living and learning communities through the School of Natural Sciences, including Aristotle House, Beyond the MD, Carson House, and Vaughn House. And so I'm excited to talk about all things academic advising and LLCs. So I'll hand it over to Jen.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen Souza, and I'm the academic advisor for everything but bio in the School of Natural Sciences. So that would be chem, physics, environmental system science, what am I missing? Applied math, then the minors as well. And also I'm a pre-health advisor. And I'm now going to switch it off to Pavin, one of our peer mentors.
Hi everyone, my name is Pavin. I'm currently a fourth-year student majoring in biology with an emphasis in microbiology and immunology. I've been a peer mentor with the School of Natural Science advising for the past 2 years. And I'm handing it off to Trixie.
Hello everyone, my name is Trixie Ibis. I am a third-year human biology major. I am a peer mentor as well for the School of Natural Sciences. I'll hand it off to Sigri.
Hi everyone, my name is Sigri and I'm a fourth year majoring in biological sciences with an emphasis in human biology. I'm also a peer mentor and I've been serving as a peer mentor for a year. I'm excited to talk to you all about what life as being a student at UC Merced is, and I'll pass it over to Dean Dumont.
Thank you so much. Hello everybody and welcome to the School of Natural Sciences. When I usually do this, when we have a live group, I ask people to raise their hands if you've really decided what your major is. But we can't do that, so let's all just think about that question if you would. And how many people are undecided about a major and thinking about it, and still thinking maybe even about whether or not UC Merced is the place for you. So I'd like to tell you a bit about our school today, about the many opportunities that we offer our students from the first year all the way through to the senior year and graduation. And I really want to talk about three different things. The first is about our majors and about the careers that come from them. The second is about attending a research university and why that's such a good choice for anybody. And the third is about how some of the things that we do to support our students, both within the school and outside of the School of Natural Sciences. So we'll go through some slides together and take a look at that. Okay. There we go. So the neat thing about natural sciences is that it's really the first step to doing anything that you can do to change the world through science and technology. So the question isn't really, what do you want to do with your major? It's really, how do you want to change the world? And what do you want to do? What kinds of things do you want to accomplish to do that? Get my screen set up here. Pardon me. There we go. So there are a whole bunch of things that you could do to change the world. If you sort of look in the upper right-hand corner, one of the things you could do is invent tools that turn data into knowledge. So we're living in the data age. There are more data than we really know what to do with and how to analyze. And understanding how to apply those data and turn them into something useful for society is a really important thing that many of us want to do. And one good way that we can offer you a pathway to that is through our applied mathematics program. They work on real world problems and solving them using computational tools, which is pretty neat. If on the other hand, you're really interested more in things like building sensors from DNA molecules, really engineering on the molecular level how to do things like address human health issues, chemical sciences might be a good choice for you. We have the span of chemical sciences from organic chemistry through inorganic chemistry, and there's a lot of really interesting things that are going on in these, especially these biological realms. Let's say that you're more interested in taking energy and turning it into something else, like solar systems, for example, solar cells. One way to do that would be through our physics program. We have a lot of experts in that area, and they're also looking about ways to change energy into other kinds of energy to do things. For example, the energy that molecules within a cell have, to turn that energy into a way for them to become machines to do something else, and that's pretty cool. You might be interested in changing the world by helping us find sustainable resources. This is something that we all think about these days. And a pathway through that is our Earth System Science program. It's a broad program that ranges from physical to biological sciences, taking into account sort of the whole ecosystem as a unit and how it all works together. And then finally, if you're interested in biomedicine, and thinking about things, how to create vaccines for new diseases, which is something that's on our mind, all of us these days. The biology major has pathways to that, as well as pathways to thinking about more basic science in terms of neuroscience, evolution, ecology, things like that, developmental biology. So these are the ways that we can offer you pathways to get to how you want to go about changing the world. So not only that, but a degree, as you do that, one of the things you're building toward is you're thinking about your future and you're thinking about your career and what you're going to do after you go to college. And so all of the degrees that we offer lead to some things that you might expect to see on a list. So things like healthcare fields, a variety of allied health professions as well as medicine, laboratory technical jobs, technical positions in things like ag research, food science industry. We have students that have gone on to work at Gallo. We have students that have gone on to work at places like NASA as technicians, as well as the Lawrence Livermore National Labs. So there's all those things that you might think about normally, but then there's some other ones you might not think about. For example, environmental science. There are a lot of jobs out there in environmental science, anywhere from the county level and city level to looking at the United States Geological Survey, for example, jobs out there. High school teaching is another one. We'll tell you a little bit more about it in a minute, but our Cal Teach program is something we're very, very proud of. High school teaching, if you actually look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, one of the highest demand jobs in the next 20 years is going to be high school teaching. And so that is a pathway that we can offer you as well. A couple other things you might not think of as natural sciences are things like becoming a data scientist or a programmer. A lot of our work in our chemistry department, our physics department, as well as applied math, really prepare people well for data science jobs. And any of these degrees can give you the technical background that you need to go on to think about doing technical applications in business or law. Say working for a pharmaceutical company, working for a patent attorney, any of those kinds of things. So this is just a really small list of all the things that we can help you prepare for. And as we go through the rest of this presentation, I invite you to think about all the things that you're thinking about for careers, and maybe you can have an opportunity to ask us about those in a few minutes. Okay, so the other thing that we can prepare you for is to be ready to go on to post-baccalaureate training. So you come to get your degree, your Bachelor of Sciences degree in any of the majors. It's a 4-year degree. And then after that, if you don't want to go straight into the job market, there are all kinds of alternatives that require some more schooling. But we can prepare you to go to do all of these things. There are programs in addition to 2 or 4 years. There are many medical and health professions, not just medicine, but physician's assistants, nursing, nurse practitioners, optometry. You're going to hear from a couple of our students who've just gotten into pharmacology programs, so that's all very exciting for us. You'll hear about that. They can tell you about their experiences there. You can get a master's degree that is usually 2 years, and that gets you prepared to do other kinds of work in the business world, administrative professions, as well as other positions in national labs or other kinds of industry positions. As I said, a law or a business degree is another 2 to 4 years, depending where you would want to go after that. And then finally, if you really fall in love with science, which is something that I hope that you'll do, we do prepare our students to go on to get doctorates. And a large proportion of our students have gone on to receive doctoral degrees and are either researchers in companies or they're actually professors, just like the professors they took classes from. So those are 2 options about the ways that your career can really expand, given what we can give you here at UC Merced. So UC Merced is a research university. So research universities are different than teaching universities in the sense that what our faculty here are doing is both teaching, and they all have active research programs. So you might ask, well, why should I care about coming to a research university? And the advantage is that you learn from the people who are out there creating today's new knowledge. So this is a picture of the faculty in the Department of Molecular Cell Biology. They're great people, they're wonderful teachers, and they're superb scientists. And the opportunity to learn directly from them is something that you won't get in an institution that is not a research institution. So let me tell you a little bit about what kinds of exciting things these people do. So one example of someone's work is a professor, Miriam Barlow. She's in the molecular cell biology department, and she is concerned about how infections and cancers become resistant to treatment, so antibiotic resistant. Her work is all about figuring out the mechanisms of how these diseases become resistant, and then figuring out the mechanisms of how you develop treatments for it. So that's a really important question that you can learn about from Dr. Barlow. Another really neat research program, again in cell and molecular biology, is some of the work that Dr. Clarissa Nobile is doing, and she studies biofilms. So this is a microscopic picture of a biofilm, and a biofilm are everywhere. It's that gunk on your teeth when you wake up in your morning is a biofilm. The stuff on the inside of your cup after you've had your glass of water or coffee, the stuff on the inside of a garden hose when you go out to water the garden, they're everywhere. And some of them are very good, but some of them are very bad and can do things like foul medical equipment. So she's really interested in studying how these biofilms develop, how many different kinds of microbes are in those biofilms, and then how to develop biofilms that are going to be helpful instead of harmful, and really harnessing those to figure out some positives in human health. Got to call out to the physical sciences too. This is a picture of a shark swimming through water, and what it's showing you is the waves of water that roll off the tail of the shark at the end. This is just showing, this is an example of fluid dynamics, and in this particular picture, this is work by Dr. Maxime Teilhard, who's studying fluid mechanics in things like swimming sharks, but also in other kinds of man-made structures as well. But then people are also using these simulation tools to do things like making CGI graphics of hair waving, right? So when you look at a Pixar movie and you see a character that looks really realistic, that's some of the work that Dr. Maya Tachman's been doing in that area. So these are some interesting things that people are doing that you can learn directly from them about, which is pretty fun. There are also, and the other thing about a research university, which I think I've foreshadowed already, is that means that you get a chance to do a lot of research yourself. There are many, many opportunities for undergraduate research. About 77% of students who attend UC Merced have a research experience, and that's very high relative to any other campuses. And we're really excited about that. And we think that's really, getting in and working with our faculty is really what gives our students the edge when they go forward. They do that through individual labs, but there's also a number of really interesting centers on campus. The one that's on the screen now is called MERCED. It's the Merced Nanomaterial Center. It's funded by NASA, and they're doing things like making coatings to work on the lubrication that goes on spacecraft, which is pretty neat. Another one is the Center for Cellular and Biomolecular Machines. That's the one where I'm saying they take pieces of cell functions, they put them together, and they get them to work like a little tiny machine on the inside of a cell to, for example, deliver a drug delivery system for pharmaceuticals. Another one is the Sierra Nevada Research Institute. If outdoors and ecology is your game, then the SNRI has lots of opportunities to get involved with the outdoors. Also there's this Yosemite Leadership Program that you can get involved in. All kinds of opportunities also to be right in our backyard on our Vernal Pools Reserve, which is right here next to campus. A lot of this, plus much more, is coordinated through the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center, UROC is what we call it. And they do a great job of connecting students to all kinds of internships, internships and externships off campus, as well as on-campus research experiences. And then finally, we do have a Health Sciences Research Institute too, that many of our faculty belong to, and many of them take undergraduates into their laboratories. So another thing that happens when you go to a research university is that lots of really interesting, fascinating, and famous people come to visit you. Here are some of the people that have been to our campus in the last few years that we're really excited to have hosted and to have gotten to meet. Gavin Newsom has been to our campus, and that's been very positive for us. And of course, we're all extremely fond of our memories of having First Lady Michelle Obama on campus in our early years. But this is the kind of people who visit your campus when you're a research institution and have all kinds of exciting things to share. So in order to help you use all of these things, use all of these resources, we have a number of things just within the School of Natural Sciences that we have stood up in order to help, specifically to help students. One is academic advising, and you'll hear from a couple of our academic advisors here today. They're very dedicated to helping our students navigate how to go through school, what classes to take, what things to try, what careers to explore. They're very, very good and dedicated in doing that job. As is our pre-health advising. Jen will talk to you a little bit about that. You can ask her questions, but Jen manages to oversee seeing over 2,000 students a year come through our pre-health advising office. And so we're very much interested in helping students achieve not just getting into medical school, but also getting into all kinds of allied health professions. We have an Excel program that helps students figure out things like, focusing on study skills, getting community, getting extra help with pulling classes together, as well. And they work closely with our STEM Resource Center, which is sort of the hub of activity around studying and getting help with STEM. And then the Office of Undergraduate Education also has a math center and a chem center that are open. They're staffed by faculty and by students. They do these big study sessions outside on the next to the buildings at the end of the semester. They're really great places. I didn't put it here, but we've also got a writing center, and that students in natural sciences do have to write. So hopefully you'll get to know the writing center as well. So we also have a really excellent Center for Career and Professional Advancement. So they are really focused on getting that on-campus employment and internships. They also do a lot of hands-on coaching with resumes, cover letters, and interviews. We've also partnered with them for the last couple of years to have alumni come back and talk to our students about the jobs that they've gotten. And one of the things we find is that it sometimes doesn't matter exactly what your undergraduate degree is, that many of those students from different degrees find commonalities and common futures in their later careers. We also have the good fortune of having a STEM specialist from the Office for Career Advancement who comes over in person to talk with our students on a weekly basis. And that's been really great, helping us get together a good bridge with them, making sure we understand what all the opportunities are for you. as you come through. Other things that are real benefits for our School of Natural Sciences, Jose already referred to the Natural Sciences learning communities. He can tell you more about them in the Q&A, and I hope you'll ask him. They are academic experiences associated with a one-hour seminar, and those academic experiences are surrounded by living with a bunch of other people and creating a sense of community, doing projects together, spending time together. We found it to be a tremendously successful program, and we're really excited about what the learning communities offer. I mentioned earlier about becoming a high school teacher. We have a minor, which is a minor in natural sciences education that anybody can get, anybody on campus can get. But you can also combine that with an experience that we do in collaboration with Berkeley to get certification in single subject STEM teaching for high school teaching. And you can do that all within the period of being here as a student on campus at UC Merced, which is I'm very excited about that program, and it's going very, very well. I don't want to take much more of your time because I actually want you to be able to talk to all these other wonderful people. So I'm going to end it there and invite you to tell us about your questions that you have about the School of Natural Sciences at UC Merced. I hope that what we've been able to show you so far has at least piqued your interest, because we're a really exciting place to be, and we would really love to see you here.
Thank you so much, Dean Dumont, for that wonderful presentation on School of Natural Sciences. So yes, at this time, we would like to start our live question and answer session. I will definitely enjoy moderating with you all during this time. At this point, let's go ahead and take a look at what some of these questions are that are coming in. Dean Dumont, is there one in particular that you would like to start off with? Would you like Jose to start talking about the LLCs?
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. I'm not sure I see the questions.
You can just tap the Q&A button and you should have those pop up for you on a panel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jose, would you like to go ahead and start us off, and you can share your experience with the LLCs?
Yeah, if you can keep a lookout for any specific questions about the LLCs, that'd be great. But I'd love talking about the LLC, so I'll start with some general information. So for folks that are not familiar with living learning communities, they're a one-year experience within the residence halls, exclusively for incoming first-year students. So the LLCs are a small community within the residence halls and within students in your major, or students that have very similar academic interest. With our LLC students, they're required to take a seminar that's 1 hour every Friday in the fall and in the spring semester as a way to continue engaging in very specific topics. So for example, Aristotle House really aligns well with folks that are interested at the intersection of science and education. Beyond the MD is great for folks that are interested in going into the health sciences but are still unsure what that might look like. Carson House is wonderful for anyone interested in conservation and sustainability efforts. And Vaughn House is really a great place for folks that are wanting to think about how computers can be used within the natural sciences. It comes at no additional cost. There's no fees to be a part of the LLC. And the only thing for the LLCs is you are required to live together in Glacier Point. So if that's an area that you're open to living to, and you're really looking for a hands-on experience to really connect closely with folks in a similar major, this would be a great opportunity for there as well. And something I forgot to mention as well is that each individual LLC is led by a current PhD graduate student. They deliver all the content. They help put on a lot of really cool events, bringing in guest speakers and sometimes taking off-campus trips like an overnight stay at Yosemite National Park, getting to talk to really researchers and professors that are at the cutting edge of their subject areas and being able to connect with folks in that field. So overall, it's a great experience, and I can't recommend it enough. And I welcome any questions about the LLCs or the experience.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I do have one question here, and there may be others that are mixed in that we will locate for you. But one of them is asking that if, whenever they complete their housing application, if they haven't yet done their SIR, would it be best if they just chose Glacier Point as the housing option? That way they can make sure that they somehow are in line for that LLC? Or is there another way that they select it?
The primary way for them to to indicate their interest is through the housing application. So there are a series of questions that show up on the housing application, and one of the first ones is like your housing area or the type of living situation that you're interested in. And from there, it might prompt you to select a living learning community. So there are 4 within the School of Natural Sciences, and I believe there are an additional 7 or 8 that are offered outside of natural sciences. And so it'll show up in a giant list, all those that are eligible. And so if you go ahead and indicate your interest on that application, that's good enough.
Wonderful. And then I see a question that came in that actually Trixie did answer in the Q&A, but I think it's worth mentioning on the live version as well. Is there a chemistry major or a major that will help someone become a pharmacist? Trixie?
Yes, so again, I believe that there's no specific major to become a pharmacist as long as it fulfills the prerequisites of the pharmacy school that you want to attend to. For example, I am a human biology major, and my goal is to become a pharmacist as well. However, it's not a chemistry major, so it still fulfills prerequisites for pharmacy school. So I think that's the major thing that you should look into, because you don't need to become even like a STEM major. You don't have to become a STEM major to attend pharmacy school. However, it is helpful to stay in the STEM area because the prerequisites for STEM, like human bio, chemistry, do line up with pharmacy schools.
Wonderful, thank you. And back to Jose for just a moment. We do have a couple of LLC follow-ups for you. So one of them is asking how many students are accepted into the Natural Science LLC, and the other, they're asking if it's exclusive to first-year students or if transfer students can also request to be in that particular LLC.
Yeah, so those are great questions. Each living learning community through the School of Natural Sciences has capacity to accept 60 students. So in total, 240 students into our 4 LLCs. And unfortunately, it's exclusive to incoming first-year students, though I believe there is a transfer student living learning community for those that are transferring into UC Merced, are doing on-campus housing, and really want to find an easy way to connect with other folks. So there are different flavors of LLCs out there for everybody.
Perfect. And we'll stick on this topic for just a second. Someone's wondering if they can still participate in events that are for the Beyond MD that they host, even if they're not a part of that particular LLC.
There are some of those activities that are open to folks, especially that are within the same building, but not necessarily a part of the LLC. For example, we do weekly study hours, and we tend to do those in the lounges of just folks getting together, getting to talk about their math homework, their chem homework, their bio homework, and just really finding other folks to connect to. And that's a great opportunity to connect with people in the LLC and also get some of those services. Unfortunately, some other events tend to be excluded and limited only to those within the LLC.
Perfect. And do our LLCs offer any type of credit?
Yes. So our living learning communities have 1 unit pass no pass credit offered for the seminars, but another big academic credit is the completion of co-curricular badges. So as some of y'all may be aware, but badges are a part of the degree requirements. So students are required to complete things outside of the classroom in order to supplement their education in kind of a co-curricular model. And each of the LLCs fulfills different badge requirements.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jose, for that great information. I think we'll try to transition a little bit into another area and possibly hop back over to you if more questions come in. So this next one, it has to do with academic advising. So the question is, when will the academic advisor start working with the first-year students?
I can go ahead and answer that. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but us as advisors in School of Natural Sciences will not be working with students until their second year. So all first year students work through the Bobcat Advising Center, which is a centralized first year model of advising. And so you should be getting some kind of email from them in May, introducing themselves as your advisor. And then you'll also get a follow-up email with some suggestions on your coursework. And that coursework does come from us as School of Natural Sciences. So if you're a School of Natural Science student, we make sure that we're helping them with guidance on the courses you should be taking to keep on track. And then once your first year is over, you transition over to the School of Natural Sciences. So all first years, like I said, are housed under Bobcat Advising Center, but then we're welcoming you about beginning of June of the end of your first year. We're going to welcome you to the School of Natural Sciences.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. This one, you might want to hang on for just a second, Jen. You might be able to help us with this one as well, or anyone for that matter, if someone else wants to hop on as well. So as a biology major, can you walk them through what 4 years on that type of program, what the classes may look like? I know that might be a little bit of a lengthy answer, but kind of a ballpark idea of what they might expect.
So since Jose is the bio advisor, I'm going to just let him go ahead and answer that for you.
Yeah. So with our bio majors, what you can expect to take every semester is a bio class. I know that at times that can come as a shock, but I like to remind students that, you know, in the bio major, you're going to get a lot of bio classes. So you can expect one every semester. And you can expect that to be supplemented by math and chemistry courses as well. In particular, all of our bio majors have to complete organic chemistry, and our chemistry classes build up sequentially. So there is some general chemistry, organic chemistry, and then depending on the emphasis that you're selecting within bio, you might continue taking chemistry courses. And once you're done with your math courses, you can also expect to take, you know, some statistics and some physics courses as well. But the tried and true is biology every semester.
That makes sense. Okay, so what about kinesiology? Does UC Merced support or offer any type of program based in kinesiology?
We do not have a kinesiology program at this time on campus, but there are a degree in natural sciences will provide you with the background that you would need to get into a master's or a PhD program in kinesiology.
Great. And when can students begin doing research?
Oh, well, I'll speak as a faculty member on that one. Faculty like to get students into the lab as early as possible in the student's career, because in the best possible world, you find somebody who comes to your lab when they're a freshman and you get to work with them for 4 whole years. So we really want students to get into the lab as soon as we can.
Wonderful. And I'm just going to continue skimming here a little bit. What types of opportunities are there to work with animals for someone who may be interested in veterinary?
So we don't have an animal sciences program, but all of the, I think, just as you know, Jen can speak to the pre-med requirements of any kind of a health science, we also think of veterinary sciences in there. So we can provide all of the courses that you need in order to get into or to apply to a veterinary program.
And just to follow up on that, it's true. Veterinary science is one of the pre-health programs that we do advise on. And in regards to opportunities, it's true we don't have animals on campus. I mean, we have our cows, but those aren't our cows that we can go around and play with. They're just around our campus. But we do have students that will volunteer at local shelters and veterinary clinics. And so we do offer the opportunity, because they have to have a waiver signed off. And so we will sign off on those waivers so they can practice in those vet clinics. And so that's what a lot of our students do that are interested in that, is just go to local vet clinics and set up some kind of relationship with them so they can get some experience.
And that's a very standard practice for going to veterinary school. That's on any campus, you'll find programs where that'll happen.
I like to add on to that too. For that, there's also clubs on campus where they can help you get into volunteer opportunities, such as working in veterinary clinics. And usually students try to help and support each other, try to land you a spot in one of those clinics.
Wonderful. Thank you for that insight from a student perspective. What type of courses might someone expect if they're going to be taking a chemistry, or if they will be in a chemistry major?
So I'm going to piggyback on what Jose said, is chemistry every semester. But to start with, yes, so it's sometimes it's surprising that students don't realize they have to take chemistry every semester as a chem major, but yes, chemistry. And for our program is very math heavy. So math and chem for sure to start out with. And then depending on mostly chem and math initially, we try to switch it up so there is a good balance of coursework. Physics will be in there as well. And so if anybody ever is interested, on our natural sciences website, it's ns-advising.ucmerced.edu. We do have sample plans on there that actually breaks down what the expectations are for a student and their whole 4 years. So they can actually go on there and take a look and see what it would look like.
Wonderful, thank you. So here's a question too that might be best suited for the advisors. I'm taking a guess there. We'll see if I'm right this time. So if a student says that they're taking an AP physics class, would that mean that they could potentially be exempt from the chemistry and or math placement exams?
For physics, no. Physics would just be potentially exempt from a physics course. So in order to be exempt from any kind of coursework with AP credit, you have to take in that discipline itself. So if you want to be exempt from a chem course, you'd have to take the chem AP exam. Calculus would be the same exact thing. Physics would just potentially prevent you from having to take that. But for the placement exam itself, yeah, you'd have to either be taking AP, calculus, or chem in order to, and pass that, or you can choose, I mean, ultimately you can choose not to take it, but we highly recommend that every student takes the placement exam, because we do have courses that are considered remedial that are not college level, and we want to try to prevent students from trying to have to take that if they don't have to. So we really highly recommend that you definitely attempt the exam if you aren't taking AP credit or already know that you've received AP credit for calculus or chemistry.
Perfect. So here's another question for the LLC. So this person is asking if a student is who is not living on campus, if they can somehow still have some type or level of association with an LLC. Is it something that has a club aspect where they don't actually have to physically live there to be a part of that?
So a big component is the community building. That's one of our biggest things for the LLC. So unfortunately, we do require people to live on campus. In addition to the opportunities that tend to be open to folks outside of the LLC, one of the other ways to get involved is with some of the clubs and orgs that our students have created after their time with our LLCs. So for example, Carson House, our sustainability themed living learning community, has created a club in order to continue bringing folks together, and folks that almost kind of wanted to be a part of Carson House or are interested in very similar subjects and are kind of finding that academic and scholarly community together. So that's another opportunity that I welcome folks that, you know, aren't necessarily thinking about the living on campus aspect, but still want to have that community of scholars.
Wonderful, thank you. Let me see if I can find some others here that aren't duplicated. Okay, so is there some place to look online for a first year course that would be available to a mathematics major? So would that just be something online, such as a course catalog, or is there someplace else that they should be looking?
So the website that I mentioned earlier, our NS Advising website, it actually has sample plans for applied math and for all the emphasis tracks as well. So it does a breakdown of the coursework that's expected, and then the class schedule and the catalog will both have descriptions of those courses. So you can always cross-reference and take a look at the courses that you're potentially interested in taking, and then go ahead and take a look at what those descriptions provide for you.
Wonderful. And what is the process of becoming a biological science major?
So you can indicate that upon, I know admissions, initially you're indicating a major. I don't 100% quote me on this, but I think that there is a follow-up email that is sent in case anybody is interested in changing their major prior to matriculating at UC Merced. And if that is not the case, then you can still indicate to your advisor, if you are, say, a sociology major, but you are intending bio, just let your Bobcat Advising Center advisor know that you are intending bio so they can give you the right type of coursework. And then after your first semester, you're eligible to make the switch typically to the proper major after that.
And something to add to that as well, anyone that's thinking about changing their major, each major belongs to one of the 3 schools within UC Merced, and there are some restrictions placed for folks that are wanting to switch into the major and switch into a school. So for example, the School of Natural Sciences has an early progress policy, meaning that since a lot of our majors require math and chem, you have to take your first level math class and your first level chemistry class, and or be currently enrolled in it in order to be accepted into the major. So that's another consideration.
And so my biggest recommendation for that is, again, just very much communicate with your Bobcat Advising Center advisor, and they will be able to guide you in that right direction.
Perfect. So this one also is focused on biology. So this person is asking, what is the difference between the different branches of biological sciences? So human bio, developmental bio, cell and molecular bio. Do these, sorry, that just jumped off my screen there. Do each of these present different opportunities if someone were to enroll in one versus another?
So I think a lot of our emphases tend to overlap in their content, and I think they differ mostly on the scope of that they want to look into. With the exception of ecology and evolutionary biology emphasis, that one tends to be the most different of all the emphases, as it involves a lot of field work and like conservation work as well. But for a lot of our other emphases, there's a lot of similar coursework between all of them. And again, it just comes down to the scope and sort of how narrow of a focus do you want to get involved in.
Can I follow up on that one?
Mm-hmm.
Which is just again to say that coming and getting a degree in natural sciences at UC Merced it opens a lot of doors, and that none of these degrees really close doors to anything else. So the difference between an emphasis in one of those areas of biology is really, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's not going to limit the things that you can do in your future choosing one or the other.
Really good things to note for everybody, so they're not completely locked in.
No.
So we have something a little bit similar. So this person's asking, what's the difference between chemistry 1 and chemistry 2?
So chemistry 1 is considered not quite college level. It's more of like a refresher for students that may have not qualified for Chem 2. And because Chem 2 also has a component of math, you have to have a certain level of calculus ability. And so some students may not qualify for Chem 2 initially. And that's the big difference, is it's more of just a refresher of just general chemistry terms. And then by Chem 2, that's where a lot of the math component comes in to play.
Perfect. All right. So another question regarding a specific major. So this one is, what can I expect as an environmental science major?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure how to answer that, because I think it's not clear. I mean, obviously it's one of our smaller majors on campus, and that's nice in a way because you have a lot of access to your instructors and faculty, and so there is a lot of opportunities for research with on campus and off campus. We actually have a nature's reserves program in the UC system where you can actually travel to the different UCs and to their nature reserves during the summer regular semester. The class sizes tend to be on the smaller side, and you're going to learn all different things like ecology, environmental chemistry. It's definitely, the website's pretty thorough about the stuff they talk about, but one of the best things that they like to boast about is that they are on the smaller side. So they do have a lot of opportunities for students and for interaction, and they really try to build on that. And so there's a lot of opportunities very early on to build those relationships with faculty.
Wonderful. So the next portion, we would like to talk a little bit about medical school and just some of the general questions that are coming in. So one that is pretty, I guess, general yet specific is, how can UC Merced help someone if their ultimate goal is med school?
So I am one of 2 of the pre-health advisors. And so myself and my supervisor, Erica Robbins, we are the 2 pre-health advisors on campus. And ultimately our goal for any student that's interested in not only just pre-med, but pre-health in general, is to try to make them become as competitive of an applicant as possible. And so that means providing that kind of guidance and advising that allows them to make sure they're choosing the right coursework and the right extracurricular activities and preparing for what's needed to become that competitive applicant. And so the biggest takeaway we really like students to know about is you can major in anything and go to medical school. You can major in anything and go to vet school. It doesn't matter what you major in so much as making sure you do fulfill the prerequisites, but also what you do within that major academically. And then also the extracurricular component, which is how much are you exposing yourself to the field that you're interested in pursuing, so that you can get that exposure very early on. And also I can also have either Trixie or Pavan or even Sigrid they're all part of the pre-health program, so maybe they can chime in a little bit about that as a student perspective.
Sure, we would love to hear their perspective.
Yeah, so being a pre-health student, it's really important that for one, you utilize your pre-health advisors, just because they can help answer any questions that you might have, like how can I get into volunteering, or what clubs are there. So they help with that. But just being a pre-health student is really important for me to join clubs in my specific pre-health area. So for me, it was pharmacy. So I joined the pre-pharmacy club, and then from there, there were like a lot of older classmates in there, and then they really helped kind of like guide me to my overall goal.
And I also want to add on a little bit to what Pavan said. UC Merced has a lot of opportunities to volunteer and to get that medical experience. Some of the things that I did as a pre-med undergrad at UC Merced is I volunteered for the UCSF Fresno Mobile Heal Clinic, and also I volunteered at our local hospital. And there's just so many opportunities to get involved, and really it's up to you to really think about, how do you want to gain that clinical experience?
Great. And just to stick with you, Sigrid, can we talk a little bit about how you became involved with the hospital? I know there was a few questions that I saw coming in asking what people need to do to actually become eligible to volunteer at the hospital.
Right. So I started volunteering at our local hospital, Mercy Medical Center, my second year. And they have an info session every semester. And I just made sure to attend the information session, and that's where I was able to get the application. I applied, and I got accepted. I was very fortunate to get accepted into the program. And I volunteer at the emergency department for 3.5 hours once a week. So that's a little bit of how I got into volunteering at Mercy Hospital.
Great, thank you. And then there's also a question asking if UC Merced or even the city of Merced has some type of affiliation with UC San Francisco's medical school. Is there any type of direct link that would help someone get into that particular campus if they were here?
Yeah, there is a developing relationship there. There is not a formal relationship in place, but for example, some of our faculty volunteer their time to go teach some of the early medical courses at UCSF Fresno. And so we're in the very earliest stages of developing a relationship between those campuses, but it's not formalized. We do have a director of medical education on campus who's working on thinking about the future of what that might look like.
Wow, it's very exciting. I'd love to see how the different directions that we're moving forward. That's wonderful. So we did have a question that came in, and I'm not seeing it exactly here, so I may have lost place of it in the long list, but just to touch on it a bit, if someone can, it sounded as if they were wanting to go into a nursing program and were wondering how we could help them reach that goal.
So unfortunately, we don't have a direct pathway to nursing. At UC Merced, there's only 2 UC campuses that actually have a nursing program. And unfortunately, we're not one of them. However, we do make sure we provide specific guidance, and we do encourage students very early on to meet with us if they are interested in nursing, because there are several different pathways that they can go towards after they graduate from UC Merced. There is also a pre-nursing club on campus because of that lack of direct pathway. It's very, very important for students early on to get that advice and to figure out which direction is best for them as pre-nursing students. And so we try to provide as much guidance as we can.
Perfect. And then is there a chemical sciences major that would help someone become a forensic scientist?
So any of our chemistry degrees, so we do have a couple emphasis tracks in chemistry. But they're all, for the most part, it's all chemical science degrees. So they're all going to help towards that pathway. And that is actually becoming a more popular major future profession that students are interested in, which is forensics. And so any of our chemistry degrees will typically allow them to qualify to apply to those forensic programs, especially the forensic chem programs that are in Northern California.
Perfect. And then there's a question about the Beyond the MD. So if someone wants to become a physician, would it be a good idea for them to become a part of the Beyond the MD?
I think those students that tend to get the biggest benefit out of Beyond the MD are those that can vocalize that they're interested in health professions, potentially medical school, potentially pharmacy, potentially the PA route, but they're not quite sure why they want to move forward in that pathway. I think what we're seeing a lot is that there are many different ways to go the pre-health route, pre-health advising, the pre-nursing club, Beyond the MD. These are all just sorts of different pathways. But I think if you're someone that knows you're interested in the pre-health route, and just not entirely sure what is your driving motivation or what specifically within the health field you want to address, I'd encourage you to check out Beyond the MD.
Perfect. And on that same line of thinking, another one that was similar to that last question, they're asking, with that Beyond the MD LLC, what are some of the activities that students do within that specific LLC?
So we've had great partnerships with local health providers. And so they're able to come in and talk specifically about their experience. And that's something that we love hearing, especially our UC Merced students, is the stories behind how folks got to where they are. I think we like to envision that there's one pathway towards the health sciences and towards health careers. And it's very validating to hear other folks' experience. And you can find that in many different fashions, but with Beyond the MD, we bring them right to you Fridays at 3:30. So that's one additional benefit there.
Great. And can you talk a little bit more as well about the Aristotle House?
I think Aristotle House is really focused on leadership development, especially within the natural sciences. It's very closely aligned with the CalTeach program that Dean Dumont had talked about earlier, of folks that are really interested in teaching, science teaching. So a lot of our Aristotle House students know that they're interested in working with children and want to combine their passion of science and science education in that way. So there's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of service opportunities. For example, we help out with local community events. We go out into the communities and host science-related workshops for K through 5 youth out in the city. And I think it's a great way to connect and find opportunities on campus to do more service-related work.
Wonderful. Well, this has been an excellent panel, one of my favorite throughout today, if I'm honest. We have a few minutes left, about 5 minutes left in this particular session. What we'd like to do at this time is to specifically address the students that we have on our panel and see if each of you can offer us a little bit of a testimonial from what your experience within natural sciences and UC Merced has been. If you can share that to our audience, I think that would be of great value.
I could start it off. Just being a natural science student, the students are really helpful, especially for me being a biology major. Most of my classmates, they really like to work together, and we usually like to form study groups. So it's like a really nice and collaborative environment. And also being a student for natural sciences, like a lot of professors push on something called basically where you kind of work together, and when you do that, it really creates an environment where everyone's helping everyone out. And so being a natural science student, for me, it never felt like that I was alone. I really got to collaborate with everyone, and it really helped me develop as a student.
Great, thank you for that. If we can have one of our other student panels.
Yes, so in addition to that, I think my advisors, academic advisors, as well as pre-health advisors really helped me get through my whole biological sciences experience. Throughout freshman year, sophomore year, and third year, we all created this plan so that everything flows as planned. As well as resources, I think as a freshman, it was really a struggle to get used to the environment. So the resources that UC Merced offers, such as the STEM Center, the house tutoring, you have the Math Center, that really helped me not only improve how I study, but also time management and all these different skills that prepare me to go to pharmacy school. Another thing that I really loved about UC Merced are the professors. The professors are really encouraging. They motivate you and yeah, they just encourage you to become successful as a student and as a person as well. So.
Thank you for that. Next.
Yeah, so adding on to that, I'm really glad I chose UC Merced as for my undergrad because since, it's a small campus, we are growing, there's endless opportunities and endless resources for students. For me, it was really easy to get involved in research. As Pavan was saying, students are really supportive of each other. And I remember having a conversation with my friend and I told her, yeah, I'm interested in research. And she told me, okay, well, I do research in this. And she was able to help me get in her lab. So as Pavan was saying, everyone is really supportive, not really competitive of each other. And so I really love that about UC Merced. Also, as Trixie said, the professors are extremely supportive, as well as the advisors. And I'm really glad I attended UC Merced for my undergrad.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for those great testimonials. Dean Dumont, before I do an official wrap up, would you like to share any final words of wisdom?
Well, I think, I hope that you've heard a lot today that's inspiring about campus. I think one of the things that we miss in this video interaction is the feel of the campus. It's an incredibly upbeat, positive, forward-facing place. That's a really good place just to be and live and learn, and we all really love being here. You can do anything with a degree in the sciences, and so it's a very, very flexible place to come get your degree, and we would love to be of help to you as you go through college and then think about your career and what you want to do next with your life. That's why we're here.
Wonderful. I think we all could agree. Anyone working in higher education and any form of student services, it just really warms our heart to watch everyone from the moment that they step on campus as an applicant, once they're accepted, all the way through graduation. I don't know that I could even put into words how much joy that brings to me, and I think I could speak on behalf of everyone at UC Merced when I say that it's a real privilege to be that part of someone's journey. So thank you all so much for being on this wonderful panel again for the School of Natural Sciences. And at this time, I'd like to remind everyone that today is Virtual Bobcat Day, and we do have a couple more sessions coming up today. So just so that you can keep in mind that we're getting ready to start a little bit of a break, a half an hour to transition to our next session. But the next one coming up will be starting at 2:30. It is focused on financial aid and understanding your financial aid award letters. So that's pretty critical for every student. So make sure that you go to the main website, which is bobcatday.ucmerced.edu. You can click on the blue button to go ahead and join that session if you haven't done so already to get registered. There is another feature on that website that if you haven't already taken advantage of it, if you'd like to use this 30-minute break to do so, there is a button at the bottom of that website. Again, it's bobcatday.ucmerced.edu. Scroll to the very bottom and you'll see some information there about the Students First Center. If you're not aware, the Students First Center is a one-stop shop, and they can offer you resources and assistance in anything related to admissions, registrar, as well as financial aid. So they're cross-trained in every one of those topics, as well as billing questions, in fact. So if you can go to that website, if you wanted to try and take a few minutes, see if you can reach someone in between sessions to get some answers, you can definitely do that. They will be giving you a call or an email back. That's your preference. You'll just need to fill out a very quick form, and then they will be in touch with you. Once again, today is Virtual Bobcat Day. We are so thrilled that you've spent your Saturday with us so far. We have a few more sessions coming up. At this time, on behalf of the University of California, Merced, myself and all of our great panelists on this wonderful session, we hope that you stick around to the rest of the afternoon, and we do have some student panels coming up at the end of the day as well. So please stick around and have a great rest of the day. Thank you all so much.